Intel finally improving again. Android's gonna let you know when you're being spied on, and Nvidia giving the VRAM. Let's get into the hot news, everybody. I'm your Brett host. We're gonna be going over the hottest tech news I can find on the internet while you enjoy your breakfast this Monday, June 30th, 2025. Yes, a special Monday edition of Hot News here for you. Things are changing as we are anticipating the move of UFD offices. So I'm currently back filming in my basement instead of the office because there's just been a lot of shaking and baking going on at the UFD side of things lately. But it looks like Intel's finally going to shake and bake on the CPUs once again, because despite the fact that the current generation of CPUs was a bit of a downgrade from the previous 14th gen, the Core Ultra 200 series, not necessarily living up to its predecessor. It looks like the Core Ultra 300 series, at least according to a leaked slide from Intel, indicates that they might be back on the right track when it comes to increasing their numbers. Again, just take this with a huge grain of salt, because this is not necessarily indicative of real world performance, but they are saying that they will get 1.1 times higher single core performance and 1.6 times higher multi-core performance. So 10% improvement on the single core. That's better than the no improvement, or actually lack of improvement, and like kind of just stagnation that we had with the Core Ultra. And then the 60% improvement on multi-core makes a lot of sense with the rumors that we've been hearing regarding the core count on the Core Ultra series 300 CPUs, which are expected to have double the P cores, double the E cores, and then also having a new low-powered island, which is being found in the leaked slide from Intel as well. So we're expecting that the Core Ultra 9 is going to have 52 cores. I mean, even if you just subtract the low power cores, you're looking at 48 total cores, which is a monstrosity for 150 watt TDP. The Core Ultra 7 is going to be 42 cores, or 38 without the low power cores. I'm intrigued to see where this actually develops to, how we're gonna get Intel back in the game, because also there are some reports that this is going to be a new socket. So like the Z890 was one generation. It's in a really confusing place right now because we're getting Nova Lake leaks, which is this Core Ultra 300 that we're expecting. But then there's also been rumors of the Arrow Lake refresh, which might be Core Ultra 300. And Nova Lake might not actually be ready for release, even though we're starting to see some promotional material from Intel on this. But the Arrow Lake refresh wouldn't have the low power island. And so it's not quite clear where we're going to end up with this, if we're going to get another generation of CPUs on the current socket, or they're going to move on to the Nova Lake later this year. Only time will tell. But you know what time will also tell? That if there's a new Intel CPU, you bet your bottom dollar it's probably going to end up in one of the Falcon Northwest PCs, because they like to stay fresh and on the high end of hardware, the bleeding edge, if you will, because Falcon Northwest has been in the industry for over 30 years, making PCs for all types of customers across those 3 decades, and kind of setting the standard when it comes to high performance gaming PCs, custom building their own chassis to meet their own strict internal requirements, such as the Tiki, their little small form factor, the Frag Box, which is the one you're supposed to tote around, and then you've got the Talon, which is the big boy, which, as mentioned, I'm filming back in my office. I'm staring at my Talon right now with Reece's face on it. This is what I have to look at. It's right over there. It's kind of amazing. And that's one of the beautiful things about Falcon Northwest, is because they're not only going to customize the internals of your PC to be as beautiful as you want them to be, but then also you get the outside. This is a high resolution. I'm just glad he didn't have boogers the day that they asked for the picture to print it on my PC. But Falcon Northwest can customize your PC, whether it's a giant Reece face, our SingApp Research Fund PCs that they've sponsored for our charity streams, or any other manner of things that you might want to request from them. And when you get your PC, you're also getting a ton of support from them as well. 3 years of great customer support from Falcon Northwest, and then the first year you get overnight shipping for any technical support that needs to happen in person. They'll overnight ship it back to them, fix it, and then overnight it back to you, so that you know you're supported. Falcon Northwest is big on supporting the community, and they're big on Reece's face. Big on all of that. So check out Falcon Northwest at the link in the video description. Big thanks to them for sponsoring today's video. And you know what? I'm just gonna put it back here. Just might as well. I'm just curious if the camera's gonna accidentally pull focus to him in the background. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But keeping on the Intel side of things, how we've seen them go in the server industry over the last few years has been bad. It's not been as good, because you might not remember this, but just like A decade ago, Intel had roughly 100% of the server market, upwards of 90%, getting very close to just pure domination. And then AMD came out with their Zen processors, coming out with EPYC, and now the numbers are coming in that Intel is continuing to decline, getting down to as low as 67% currently when it comes to their server market share. AMD just continuing to increase up to 36% by the end of 2025 is expected, 38.5% by the end of 2026, and then 40% by the end of 2027, according to global research from Bank of America. And in that 2027 estimation, they're looking at Intel declining below 50% for the first time in who knows when. This is just an absolute L for Intel, just completely losing the plot, giving so much over to AMD in the last few years. It's kind of difficult to see happen, and it's difficult to see that you are being spied on. In case you don't like that, Android is trying to work on that with their Android 16 update to let you know whether or not your phone is connecting to a Stingray mobile network, something that actually might be hijacking your phone by using simulated cell towers to get you to connect to them and then steal your information or potentially spy on you in a way that you might not necessarily be consenting to. So Android 16 is going to be updating to show this, whether or not it's actually happening. However, the problem here is that it requires a specific type of hardware in the modem in order to have this sort of detection, and there is not a single Android phone out on the market, at least according to Ars Technica, that actually supports this. So this is just kind of a theoretical software support for potentially maybe the Pixel 10 will have this modem built in where they could actually have you know whether or not your phone's connected to an unsecure mobile network. However, it also will allow you to disable 2G networks because that's one of the more insecure ways that you could get your phone overtaken. So they're developing that, Android kind of moving forward on that. And let's see if Reece moves forward on some deals.
What you got for us, buddy?
It's kind of intimidating seeing him staring at you like that, I think.
Yo, welcome back to UFD Deals, bringing the hottest tech deals out on the internet. And hey, happy Monday, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well, and jump into the deals for you guys. Starting us off today, we have this Epo Maker and Aula combo with the Win60, which is a Hall Effect 60% wired hot swappable keyboard, going for only $31.99, making it $14 off. So it's a nice cheap way if you've ever want to try Hall Effect. But then next up, we're doubling up with Crucial with this Crucial P310 Gen 4 NVMe M.2 SSD with the 1TB drive going for only $59.99, making it $14.81 off. But then following that up, we have the Crucial Pro DDR5 RAM kit featuring 32 gigs at 6000 megahertz at CL36 for only $76.99, making it $28 off. And hey, with that, the deals are done. You can find these and more linked in the video description down below. But until next time, I'm gonna hand you back to Brett for the rest of your hard news. Cheers.
Well, Reece, it looks like Nvidia has a deal for their users because they partnered up with a company that absolutely screams integrity, and this is the match made in heaven of an Integris company with another Integris company, Nvidia and Adobe, working together with Nvidia's app rewards to get you a month subscription to Adobe Creative Cloud. So this is something that you can have if you have 40 or 30 series GPUs. You can go into the Nvidia app and redeem this reward. But if you are on a 50 series, you get 2 months of that bad boy, in case you're interested. Now, this is only for people who have never subscribed before, and I gotta be honest, if you've never subscribed to Adobe before, I wouldn't start now. If you do this, please make sure to cancel because they're notorious for very bad unsubscriptions, making it very difficult for you to move away. So don't get trapped in it, all right? Especially here at UFD, we've been on Premiere and After Effects for quite some time. Hot News is edited on DaVinci Resolve, thankfully, because Rikus chose to jump ship in the interim when he was not working at UFD. But we're going to start moving everybody off of Adobe because it has just become untenable as a company to continue to support them. And, you get a deal with Nvidia that they support them. And a lot of you guys haven't felt supported when it comes to Nvidia's GPUs because you feel like the VRAM is lacking. And we're getting more reports of the upcoming Super refresh that is expected to hit potentially later this year with the 5070 Super, 5080 Super, and then a brand new information dump of the 5070 Ti Super, or as I will affectionately call it, the Tisiper. So as we've been hearing, the 5070 Super is supposed to get an increase in both CUDA cores as well as VRAM going up to 18 16 gigabytes versus the current 12 gigabytes that it has, because they're going to be using 3 gigabyte modules on the card versus the 2 gigabyte ones that they have now, because at least when these cards launched, it didn't look like the 3 gigabyte modules were ready, so they launched them without them, and now they're going to have them ready on the 50 Super series that's going to be coming out. But the 5070 Ti Super Thai Supper is going to have 24 gigabytes of those VRAM bad boys coming in at that high amount, but at a slower speed than what we see on the 5080 with only 28 gigabits per second. And then the 5080 Super is additionally supposed to go up to 24 gigabytes as well, but with a significantly higher speed. So that is going to be one of the main differences between the Super and the 5080 Super, is you're getting the same amount of VRAM, but the 5080 Super is faster, has more cores, is a bigger GPU, should theoretically be faster, especially because it's going to consume a lot more power. 15% power increase on the 5080 Super, 17% power increase on the 5070 Ti Super, and 10% power increase on the 5070 Super. But the only one of these Super series that's supposed to get a core increase is that 5070 Super. The Ti Super and the 80 Super are supposed to get the same amount of CUDA cores included. So you can see here the breakdown of how it's potentially going to stack up, with the 5080 Super having the exact same amount of CUDA cores and having the exact same memory interface of 256 bits, but increasing the memory speed to increase its overall memory throughput. And the 5070 Ti Super is actually supposed to drop down to 192-bit bus versus the 256-bit bus, allegedly. We'll see how all this plays out. Pricing, if Nvidia will keep the price the same, or they might raise it. I mean, who knows exactly what's going on with pricing these days. We'll keep you updated as we find out more about these graphics cards in the future. But in the past, you guys left comments in previous episodes of Hot News, so let's see what you had to say. We got Bobby DeLand saying, I have to say, opinion on the 5050 is rather split. Thanks. I knew that was coming. I just, you know, I tried to swerve around it. Didn't really want to make that joke in my video, but you guys did not let that one hit the ground. You pick that right up. 50-50. Ha ha ha. And then we got Henry saying, I miss Catch 22. So, in case you're not familiar and have been following along with the whole Streetlight Manifesto saga that we've been having in comment response, it's a band that I've really liked for the last many years, decades at this point. They are part of the Fourth Way Ska movement. They have been not releasing records for 13 years. They were allegedly supposed to release one last week on June 24th. They didn't actually end up doing that because they are notorious for actually delaying their albums and not getting things out on time, and that's exactly what happened. So they put out 3 songs that are not finished, poorly mixed, not great. Didn't enjoy them because of the mixing. It sounds like there's good elements of the songs there. Anyways, Catch 22 is the previous band that the lead singer of Streetlight Manifesto was a part of, and then he moved on to form this own band and re-recorded one of their albums, but Catch 22 actually stayed around. But I got good news for you. They allegedly released a new song recently, or they're like playing a new song at live shows. Like they're not gone. They're still making, you can still listen to them. They're still there. I don't know why I decided to go down that rabbit hole, but I did. And I'll stop that rabbit hole and I'll be back with more, hopefully, hot tech news tomorrow. We'll see if we can do that. See you then.